The law of signs, SSA, the ambiguous case. So this is the type of triangle that we have not talked about yet. And if you recall from geometry, SSA was not one of the ways that you could prove two triangles are congruent. And that's because there isn't necessarily one triangle that could be congruent to another, even if they have two sides the same and an angle the same. Okay, so let's start with an example. It's easier to see that way. So solve triangle ABC if angle A is 40 and side A is 54 and side B is 62. Well, of course, the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to draw a triangle and we're going to label it. Make sure that the side is across from the angle with the same letter. Okay, so if you recall from the law of sines and the law of cosines previously, the first thing we do is identify the triangle. And the kind of triangle we have here is SSA. Now you can see that we have two sides and an angle. The reason why I know it's SSA and not, say, SAS is because this angle here is not between these sides. Can you see what angle would be between sides A and B? Angle C. So if they had given us angle C instead, then I would have known that this was an SAS triangle, but it's not, it's an SSA. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to organize our values in two boxes. Why are we going to do that? Why two boxes? Okay, so we have this first one and this second one. So we're going to have triangle 1 and triangle 2 because when you have an SSA case, it's possible that there are two different triangles that could be. So there could be two different triangles that have this angle and these two sides. And the triangles won't be the same. But there could only be two possible cases. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to use the law of sines to find the missing angle whose side is given. So that would be, we know we know angle A and side A, and the only other thing I know is side B. So I would have to find angle B next. There's nothing else I could do there. So I'm going to set up the law of sines. So 54 over sine of 40 equals 62 over sine of B. Now, I've done this before with the law of cosines, when we would find a missing angle. So cross multiply, 54 sine B equals 62 times sine 40. And then divide by 54. That's going to be sine B, but don't forget in your calculator, you are going to inverse sine all of this and make sure that you close the parentheses around the 40 before you divide by 54. And for sine B, we get 47.56. So I know that angle and I'm going to put it right in box B here, 47.56. Okay? Okay, let's talk about this other possible triangle. So I wrote some notes down here for you. But inverse sine, what we did right here, will only give us the angle that's in the first quadrant. Because if you remember when we did inverse trig functions, it was one of the last things we did in school before we had to leave. Inverse sine will only give you an angle that's in the first or the fourth quadrant. So the way the calculator is programmed, it's only going to give you this. Okay, so that's fine, right? Except for that there's another angle who also has a sine that's 62 times sine of 40 over 54. And that is the angle that's in the second quadrant. So there's an angle in the second quadrant whose sine is also 62 sine 40 divided by 54, whatever number that is. Okay, so how would we find that angle? So think about that. If we had, you know, our circle, and here's 4756 right here. There's another angle over here that also has a reference angle 4756, but that's really alpha, that's not theta, right? So we need this angle, and that's the one whose reference angle is also 47.56, and we would get that by subtracting 180 minus 4756, and we would get 132.44. So angle B could be 47.56, or it could be 132.44. I just don't know. I just don't have enough information to tell. Okay, so given this information here, I might have triangle 1, or I might have triangle 2. I mean, the good news is there's not like 7 triangles. There's only 2, but it is possible that there's 2, as there is in this case, and it's your job to find both. Okay, so moral of the story there. There are 2 possibilities for the measure of angle B, and that is step 4, to subtract your newfound angle B from 180 to get another angle that is possible. So write the one angle under triangle 1, that's what we did here, and write the other one under triangle 2. Notice that the given information doesn't change, okay? You can't change angle A, you can't change side A or side B, okay? The only thing that can be changed are these other numbers that were not given. Okay, step 5 is going to be to find the third angle in both triangles. So in the first triangle, that will be 180 minus 40 minus 4756, and that will be, 92.44. And so we're going to write that in for angle C. And then we're going to do it again with triangle 2. 180 minus 40 minus 132.44, and that gives us 7.56. So that's our other possible angle C. Okay, so once angle B can be 2 different things, then C would have to be 2 different things. Okay, so now we go forth with the law of sines again for each triangle. Okay, so I suggest using the given pair. So we're going to use 54 over sine 40. So 54 over sine 40 for the first triangle will be side C over 92.44, as you can see above up here. And for the second triangle, it will be 54 over sine 40 equals C over sine of 7.56, this triangle. Then we're just going to continue on with our algebra here. So cross multiply. C times sine 40 equals 54 times sine 92.44. Likewise on the other side, but with the 756. And then you're going to divide both sides by sine 40 in both equations. And for the first triangle, we get 83.93. And for the second triangle, we get 11.05. And then come back up, and you can see here that that's what I filled in there. 83.93 and 11.05. And so these triangles are both possible. Now, you might be saying, what in God's name is she talking about? That only looks like one kind of triangle. Well, here's what it would look like. So triangle 1 with a 40-degree angle. Let's see. I don't know, maybe that's 40 degrees. And angle B is 47. That could look like this, making angle C down here the 97 angle. And this is the 40, and this is the 47. You know, ish. Okay. I'm sorry, not 97. My fault. That was 92. Okay. So that's possible for the first triangle. So that's sort of what that looks like. Okay, for the other triangle, so here's still the 40-degree angle, angle A. But angle B, if you look at the second triangle, is very big. It's 132. It's really big. So it's like really big, like that. Maybe not that big. All right, I got a little crazy there. Okay, so here's B. Maybe this way. Oh. There we go. Okay, so C. And now angle C is little, right? Angle C is 7.56. And this angle up here is 132. So that's given this side of 54, 54, and 62, and 62. It doesn't look quite right, but I hope you get the general idea there. Okay. I think I'm going to actually try to look up a video of showing you the two triangles, and maybe I'll show you that in class. That might be easier. Okay, let's take another example. Okay, example 2. Solve triangle ABC, and here's the given information. So first, of course, we're going to draw the triangle and put everybody in the appropriate spots. Yeah, I didn't draw those triangles very well up there. Okay. So first you want to identify the triangle. So it's an SSA triangle. And you want to assume that there will be two triangles. So as soon as you discover that the triangle is SSA, just start pretending that there's two triangles. Okay, because for all you know, there's two. Okay, so here we go. So I have my given information here. And my given information here. Oh, that's not what I wanted to have happen. Can I just get rid of some of that? Oh, wait, that worked. Okay, good. Okay, and then the first thing we're going to do is find angle B. So we're going to set up our law of sines. 81 over sine 43 equals 62 over sine B. You're going to cross multiply. You're going to divide by 81. And then you'll inverse sine this little guy on your calculator, and you'll get 3147. Make sure that you are actually typing this in your calculator, okay? Don't just like watch me without a pencil or something. So 3147. But this is the step where you have to realize that there's another possible angle for B. So this is where it gets a little tricky. So you can't forget that there's two triangles. So how do we get the other possible angle B? We take 180 and we subtract the angle that we just found. So 180 minus 31.47, that's the other possibility. Oh no, it did it again. I'll just write it in there. I didn't want to, but 148.53. Here we go, okay. Okay. So now, next, we're going to get the angles C for each triangle. Okay, so for triangle 1, that will be 180 minus 43 minus 3147, and that will give us 105.53. Okay, so what happens when we do it for the second triangle? Well, I'm going to have 180 minus 43, right? And then subtract the 148.53, but I get negative 11.53. That doesn't make sense, does it? You're not getting a negative angle, at least not in a triangle. I know we can have negative angles in other scenarios, but not this one. So what does that mean then? So because these two angles, don't they already add up to more than 180? And triangles can only have angles that add up to 180. So this one isn't going to work. So what that means is, good for you, is that there is no second triangle in this case. You tried to find one, but you weren't able to get one. And so in that case, you just cross out triangle 2, you forget about it, and you keep going. However, usually when I would mark this kind of, quiz or test or something, I would be looking for this. So even if there wasn't a second triangle, I'd be looking for you to check to see if there is one. So it is important that you go and check. But because we're not, in physical contact, I don't know that I really have any way to make sure you're checking for the second triangle. So I'll just have to think about that one. Okay. So we determined there is no second triangle. So now I'm going to continue on with the first triangle, finding side C. So I'll set up my law of sines again. I really suggest that you use the pair that's given, just in case you made an error. And then cross multiply, divide by sine 43. Oh, I skipped a step there. And then I'm sorry, just divide by sine 43 and we get 114/43. And so then in this case, this is the only answer here. Well, I didn't want that. No fill. There we go. Okay. Okay, next one. Example 3. So here's our given information. We're going to draw the triangle first, of course. We're going to determine what type of triangle it is. You're always going to assume that there are 2 triangles. Don't assume anything else. Okay? Start setting it up as if there are 2. And then you're going to find angle B next using the law of sines. So that's 51 over sine 75 equals 71 over sine B. Cross multiply, divide, and then inverse sine both sides. Wait, what? What do you mean error? Wait, let me try that again. Okay, here's my calculator. So I have inverse sine 71 times sine 75 over 51. Error domain. Value entered is not allowed in the function or command. What are they talking about? That's what my calculator says. So let's think about this here. Let's go back. What's 71 sine 75 over... Let's forget the inverse part. So 71 sine 75 divided by 51 is 1.3447. What do I know about sine? What is the highest number sine can be? 1. What's the lowest number sine can be? -1. So sine is only ever between 1 and -1, right? So how could it be 1.344? It can't. This doesn't work. So what does that mean? So what was I trying to do? I was trying to get angle B, and I failed. I did not get angle B. So what does that mean? It means there's no triangle. Talk about tricks. They gave you 2 sides and an angle that can't even make a triangle. You can't make a triangle out of those numbers. So there's no solution here. So the bad news is it's weird. The good news is you get to stop much sooner than if you had 1 or 2 triangles. So if you do get an error in your calculator, I would, go back and make sure that you did type everything correctly. But given the size of these angles, or this angle, I'm sorry, and these sides, yeah, this just wasn't going to work. Given this 51 and this angle of 75, 71 for side B, it's just too big. This is just never gonna make a triangle. Okay, so let's try a new one. Example 4. So we have our given. First, we're gonna draw our triangle. Make sure your sides are across from your angles. You're gonna identify the triangle. It's SSA. Always assume there's two triangles. Set it up as if you're going to get two triangles. You never know. There's no boxes here, so you can probably figure out there's not. Okay, so first we're going to find angle B. We're going to use the law of sines. Cross multiply, divide, inverse, 4136. So that's my possible angle B for triangle 1. And now what's next? You have to find the other possible angle B. So 180 minus the angle I just found is 138.64. Oh, it did that thing again. There we go. Okay. And then we're going to go ahead and look for the third angle in each of the triangles. Okay, so that's 180 minus 57 minus 4136. That's for triangle 1. That's 81.64. And for triangle 2, that's going to be 180 minus 57 minus 138.64. But that is negative 15.64. I made a little error there. Put equals instead of a minus. And so I can't have a negative angle. And so that means there is no second triangle. Because 57 plus 138.64, that's already bigger than 180. So that is not going to work. Okay, so we're done with that. There was no second triangle. That was just a fake out. So come back over to triangle 1, and we'll find side C with the law of sines. 38.93. And so then this is my only answer. Okay, we got two more. No new stuff, just practicing. Okay, got my given. Here's my triangle. Identify. Assume there's two. Set up the law of sines. Cross multiply. Divide. Inverse. Oh, not with this error again. Give me a break, man. Double check. Go back and please make sure you entered it correctly. And the thing that I really like to do to test it is I like to just plug this part in without hitting inverse and see if that's bigger than 1. Because if that's bigger than 1, I know that this is not for real. And that is the case. 20 sine 50 is 1.53. That's way too big. So what does that mean? If you can't get angle B, you're done. There's no solution. Doop, doop, doop. It's over. Heh, wasn't that quick? Okay, last one. Here's your given. Oh, there's a lot of work here. It looks like it's going to be 2. We're going to draw our triangle. Identify the type. Assume there's 2. You might have to pause the video because I know you have a lot more to write than I do here. You're going to set up the law of sines. You're going to cross multiply, divide, and inverse. I think that's down here. So angle B for triangle 1 is 49.89. And then how do we get the other angle B? We subtract the angle we just found from 180. But I made some kind of error here because I have 49 down here and I have 48 up here. So let me just double check, see which one it really is. It is 49, it is not 48. So let me go in and change this. Sorry about that. There we go. Okay. So we subtract that from 180. That gets our other possible angle B. That's 130.11. That's our other possible angle, B. Okay, and now we're going to go and get the third angle, angle C for both. So 180 minus 35 minus 49.89. Oops. Which I have 95.11. I think that's still correct. Because I think maybe it's not. Let's see, 180 minus 35 minus 49.89. Yeah, it is 95.11. Yeah, I just wrote it wrong. I didn't actually do the math wrong. Okay, and so that's our possible angle C for triangle 1. And then I'm going to have to go do it again for triangle 2. So 180 minus 35, but minus 130.11. And that's 14.89. And that's our other possible angle C. Now to find side C, I'm going to have to do the law of sines twice. Go back and use your given information, your 12 over sine 35. 12 over sine 35. Cross multiply. Cross multiply. Divide by sine 35. Type it in a calculator. I put a degree symbol there. That's not true. I'm just going crazy. It's my first video in a while. Maybe that's why. I'll blame it on that. So then side C for the first triangle is 2084. And for the second triangle, 5.38. So, yeah, you know, there's some steps here, but I think you can do it. And, you know, you don't have to memorize it because you're always going to have your, notebook with you. So that's a bonus. Okay, so make sure that you practice because you still have to practice even if you do have your notebook with you. And